Hello scholars, welcome. Mr. Hinkle here, excited to explore the Earth's oceans with all of you. And the themes that we're getting into are understanding about Earth's water, the distribution, where did it come from? Looking at the global ocean. Earth has one ocean, but in order to understand this global ocean, we have divided it into 5 principal ocean basins, which we will get into to cap off our lecture for today. So, again, you've seen this before. It's such a powerful image, and I love it so much. The blue planet. It's the blue marble because Earth is the water planet. 71% oceans, 29% land. What a staggering figure. 71% oceans. And if you think about all of the water that is on Earth, there's salt water in the oceans, there's freshwater in lands, we've got rivers, we've got lakes, we've got ice caps, we've got groundwater. Well, all that being said, 96.5% of our planet's water is in the oceans. And if we didn't have water on Earth, we probably wouldn't have life on Earth because as far as you and I know, as far as our scientific understanding goes, water is necessary for life to exist. And in fact, animals are made of water in varying compositions, and about 60% of our human adult body is made of water. So I'm basically the ocean, just a drop in the ocean of the vast 71% of Earth's surface that is covered. Okay. Saltwater, oceans. About 96.5% of all the water on Earth. We can look, this is rounded to 97%, but 97% salt, 3% fresh water. That fresh water is distributed between ice caps and glaciers, groundwater, and other. So about 1% of the 3% makes up rivers, lakes, and swamps. When we go to a river, we think about the Amazon, the Nile, the Mississippi River. I think, wow, these rivers are so big. These floods that are all over the news. Wow, what a big dramatic event. But it's such a tiny amount proportionally to how much water is on Earth and how much water is in the ocean. It's astronomical. There's also a little bit of water in the atmosphere, and all of Earth's water is connected through the movement of water from one storage place, aka a reservoir, to another in what is called the, you got it? Hydrologic cycle. The water cycle helps us to understand the movement of water on Earth. Well, an ocean is a large continuous body of salt water that covers a significant portion of Earth, which means that there is one global ocean. The ocean is connected through thermohaline circulation around the globe, on the surface, and the subsurface. Surface currents become deep currents, and they travel all over the entire Earth. Yet, there are 5 principal ocean basins. So, this is important for us to think about. One global ocean, but divided technically into 5 principal oceans. Okay, where'd the ocean come from? Was it always here? Well, I'll discuss in plate tectonics and marine geology lectures about the formation of the Earth. So we'll just shortcut that. 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth was a big, hot, homogeneous ball of material. And it cooled rapidly. As the Earth was cooling, it layered heavier elements, iron and nickel, sank to the middle, lighter elements, silica, rose to the top, and heat was being transported from the center to the surface. As a way to release heat, volcanoes formed, and volcanoes started to erupt. Carbon dioxide and water vapor into the atmosphere. Get enough water vapor in the atmosphere, Here's the volcanoes, here's some clouds. Clouds form, and it began to rain. And it rained. And it rained for hundreds of millions of years, creating pools of water that led to the formation of Earth's permanent oceans somewhere around 4 billion years ago. I know, that was a really quick piece of geologic history there. It's awesome. But let's say that, pardon me, the Earth is 4.6 billion years old, and it cooled, and clouds formed, and it rained, and then oceans formed. That's the short history of where our oceans came from. The ocean is deep. We go swim in the ocean, we play around, we walk out, we don't go too far out, but the ocean is deep. In fact, the average depth is about 12,500 feet. That's almost 4 times bigger than the average topographical elevation. So the bottom of the ocean on average is around 12,500 feet, which is really, really deep. The deepest place in the ocean is the Challenger Deep, named after the HMS Challenger that conducted the first global systematic scientific examination, scientific expedition of the world's oceans. And this rings in at 36,200 feet deep. It's been explored first in the 60s by the Trieste, then again by James Cameron. Then now, if you have enough money and you want to go down there, there's been about 20 plus people who have gone in submersibles and explored the Challenger Deep. That's not many. Less than 30 people ever have been to the deepest part of the ocean. So we have very limited understanding of the deep ocean. It's one of the reasons the oceans are the last great frontier of our planet. But the oceans are deep. Deepest part of the ocean is the Challenger Deep, aptly named. Pardon me. Okay, we talked about the 5 principal oceans. Here they are: Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. By volume, the Pacific is half of the world's oceans, 50%. The Atlantic is 23, Indian 19, Southern 5, and Arctic 1. I rounded all of those numbers. I know I'm a lumper, not a splitter. And the Arctic is by far the smallest and the shallowest, but they're all roughly the same depth on average. That's so cool. Our Earth is so cool. We have these ocean basins that are separated by continents, yet the average depth of them is pretty similar. I love that. So we identify them based on the location relative to continents. And they're not evenly distributed. Land is not evenly distributed. When we look at a map of the Earth, here's the equator. All of North America, North Africa, all of Asia in the northern hemisphere. Southern hemisphere has half of Africa, South America, and Australia. So the majority of land is in the northern hemisphere, which means there's a lot more water down here. We also have the Southern Ocean, or Antarctica, I'm sorry. And contrary to it looking like a long, skinny continent, it's not. It's round. It just centers over the South Pole. By location relative to the continents, here are our 5 principal ocean basins: the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. Let's talk about each one. The Pacific Ocean is the world's largest ocean. As we talked about, it's about 50% of the total ocean volume. It's located around, or it lines the Pacific Ring of Fire. This area here is convergent plate tectonic boundaries that create volcanoes. And the movement of Earth's crust at these locations not only creates volcanoes, but very large earthquakes, and it can trigger tsunamis. So there is a large tsunami hazard in the Pacific Ocean. I'm going to put this up here, Ring of Fire. Not the Johnny Cash song, but the geologic location, the U-shaped ring of high tectonic activity. Okay, next we've got the Atlantic, located between the Americas, Africa, and Europe. It's about half the size. I think we said about 25% of the ocean. This one's really important for global shipping and commerce because there is a lot of transportation that happens between Europe and the Americas. There's also a lot of transportation, as I'm sure we all know, between China and the Americas. This ocean separated the old world from the new world, and the connection of these two hemispheres allowed for the globalism that occurs today. Another important thing to note, the Gulf Stream, the most famous of all ocean currents, originates near the Tropic of Cancer in the Gulf of Mexico, and it travels across the North Atlantic all the way up here to Northern Europe, Scandinavia, transporting heat. It's warmer down in the tropics than it is up in the poles, so when warm water travels across the ocean, it brings heat with it. And that is really important for regulating global climate. I'm sorry, excuse me. The oceans are a major player in global climate, making sure that it doesn't get too hot in certain places, making sure it doesn't get too cold in others. So the Gulf Stream is highly studied. It has been for a while. And in the context of global climate change, we can see the impacts that a warming Earth is having within this very specific ocean current. It's awesome that we've been studying it so long because we can see the change through time and start to understand impacts to the ocean of climate change. Next but not least, next in line is the Indian Ocean. So the Indian Ocean is below the subcontinent of India, between South Africa and Australia. It's primarily in the southern hemisphere. And what's really cool about this ocean is that it plays a key role in the global monsoon season that affects India. What are monsoons, you say? Well, it is the changing directional pattern of winds from the ocean to land and land to the ocean. When winds blow away from India, then all of this moisture stays away and it's dry. When winds blow towards India, then all of this evaporated moisture goes with it, and India receives extreme rains. So moist air from the ocean provides most of the rain for this entire part of the world due to the movement of Earth, the seasonal nature of sunshine, and the oscillation between onshore and offshore winds in the Indian subcontinent and surrounding it. Okay, the Southern Ocean. So here we can see Antarctica is not a big, long, flat mass of land like it is projected, map projection on the map. It is a continent that has a shape just like the rest of them, relatively circular. What's really cool about this one is there is a current that goes all the way around it, the Antarctic circumpolar current. This is the only continent on Earth that has a continent that goes all the way around it, creating unique ecosystems and very treacherous currents and waves that have led to the demise of many an Antarctic explorer. So it's all about 60 degrees. known for its circumpolar current. Last but not least, we have the Arctic. This one is the smallest and shallowest of all of the oceans. There's also a huge amount of continental shelf. So here's Greenland covered in ice, Iceland covered in green, imagine that, and the top of Asia, here's the top of North America, and all this light blue is continental shelf. So really long continental shelves, which is partly why it's so shallow, which makes it have such a small amount of volume of the overall proportion of the global ocean. There are noticeable changes here in the amount of sea ice as climate change continues and it gets warmer, then ice melts, and that ice, that fresh water inundates the salt water, changing the salinity, which starts to impact certain currents like the AMOC and deep water formation that needs cold, salty water for surface water to go pew all the way down into the subsurface. We'll talk more about all of these. These are introductory concepts, not in-depth concepts, because we are introducing the oceans of our planet. Earth is the water planet. We're covered with one large global ocean. But in order to understand our ocean, we divide it into 5 principal oceans relative to where they are in relation to the continents. These 5 principal ocean basins are the Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, and Arctic Ocean. Thank you so much. This is Exploring Earth's Oceans, and I will see you in the next one.